crank wheel. Right. Um, Pretty much the gist that I get, my wife says it clicks whenever you try to start it. She says if you let it click, let off the key, you bump the key again, it may turn over, it may not, but it'll click. So she said it's under the seat. So I'm sure that the battery terminals are dirty and the terminals on the starter solenoid is dirty and possibly the one at the starter. I'm gonna take the time today and clean them up, and I'm gonna test everything, clean them up, and just take a look at this general overall uh, lawnmower. It's 5 years old. I've never had much problems out of it. I changed the solenoid on it one time, and I've changed the battery, and I blame that on my own stupidity. I leave it outside, and good machine, good machine, but it gets neglected like that. It gets left outside. So far, I hadn't had any troubles with it. And during the wintertime, I put it in the shed. But you hear that dog barking. We got a fence built here in the shed, so it's hard to get in and out of there with her. So let me get started here. I'm gonna test the battery to see how hot it is. A little trusty, yeah. It's at 12.75. So that is a hot, hot battery. It's a good battery. It's the only batteries I sell. I sell Super Start batteries from O'Reilly's. 350 cranking amp, left terminal positive. Always get the left terminal positive. If there's any doubt as to what side your hot is on and your negative is on, always get the left side positive. 90%, 99% of the lawnmowers that are out there, that battery will start it every time, and it will fit because of the simple fact that the terminal's on the left side and it can be turned in any direction. But there's certain mowers that a positive right side battery will not fit and work with because of the simple fact that the terminal is on the wrong side. And if it's on the wrong side, it could bump up against something that causes it to arc out or something like that, and you don't want that. So I got my negative hooked up there. We'll test there. Test down here on my side of the battery where my voltage terminal is. On the screw, I'm getting an even 1275. On the outside of the bolt, if I scratch it, I get 1275. But mostly, if I just touch it down there at the bottom, where it's actually making contact with the solenoid, it's showing 1275 there. But it fluctuates when you first touch it. It's 10-2 there, 7-9-8. You know, it's not an immediate 1275. So that tells me that I got some dirty terminals. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull them off there one at a time and clean them up. Looks like my eyes are starting to get bad. Looks like a 7/6 to me. Turn old trusty off and I'm gonna go put it up. I don't think I'll be needing it anymore. Every so often, once or twice a year, you need to have your lawnmower serviced. You know, you need to have your oil changed, your oil filter changed, fuel filter. You have a new set of blades put on it. You need to have your air filter changed, and just generally lubed up where everything will move. It won't be so slick to move, and it'll fix everything. Because yesterday, I know this mower started, and it didn't want to start for me because the choke cable was stuck. Well, the choke cable being stuck is like, I don't know. See, it could be bad or it could not be so bad. Mine was just a lubrication problem. It just got stuck in there with dust and dirt, a little corrosion. I lubed it up and give it a pull on both ends. You gotta lube it on both ends and give it a pull. Now I lubed it again. I worked it back and forth and it freed up real good. But a lot of times, I mean, them little old cables, they can be expensive. And they're expensive to change because you got to go all up in here. This in here wouldn't be so bad. This in here not so bad. But some of them you got to take the whole dashboard off of to get to it. And so that's the one thing you want to do. You always want to make sure your throttle cables and choke cables are free working and well lubed. Because if not, they turn into a rusty mess, and there ain't nothing you can do for it except for to change it. And, save yourself $100 or so. Fortunately, let's see. I said we need a 7/6. Two of them right there. Huh. I don't know where that came from. We'll pretend like it came from a garage sale. We'll make a lighter out of it. One side's a 10mm. Rusty. Tell you what, they're supposed to be a lot easier to work on when they're not rusty. That's a fact. It'd be in winter, if you get in fall, right now things are slowing down. I can take time to work on my own stuff now. Back during the summer, I'll be running 70, 80 hours a week. And it'll work a band to death. That's the heck of all I want. Some other time. Scotch Brite, a wire brush here. What about COVID? COVID-19. Is it a fear factor for you? It's not for me. I live by faith, not fear. But I'm not a dummy. I do wear a mask in public places. We're out here amongst ourselves at your home, though. If you prefer to wear a mask, that's fine. I don't wear a mask because I have asthma. It messes with my breathing. And, so I don't wear a mask. So I ask that you social distance from me at least 10 feet. You know, that's how far we are right here from the camera. So 10 feet's not impossible to carry on the conversation. Normally I'd pull up here and sanitize this lawnmower before I went any further, because you basically think about it, you might have coughed on it. You coughed on it in your hand, you got on it and drove it out to the place to get it. I'm not really worried about COVID-19. I'm being very vigilant about preventative measures to keep from getting COVID, but I think I had COVID-19 back in December of last year when they didn't even know what it was. Make a long story short, my doctor told me I had a virus and they didn't know what it was. They had no name for it. And it took me about 3 weeks to get well, and it nearly turned into pneumonia, and I thought it was going to kill me there for a few days. Anyway, I just go with it as the fact that I probably already had it, but let's just take the safety measures anyway. Anyhow, let me get back to what I was doing here. And I'm going to start with my negative wire, which is my ground. Clean it up. Get it shiny so it'll make good contact. That's the source of any good electrical systems. A good clean ground. Trust me, I know my electrics, because electrics was probably the hardest thing for me to grasp in technical school, because I grew up with a father who was an electrician. He also was a electronics man, so I had a really good knowledge of the way electrical stuff worked before I ever went to technical school. And 12 volt electricity is a little bit different than residential, and it didn't hurt none. I didn't do a whole lot of work on units. It was mostly note taking, etc., etc. He taught us how to set points. But I imagine they don't even do that now. Hell, who even knows what a set of points is? You know? I do. I grew up with points. Electronic condition was always nice, so people say, oh, it's got fuel injection. I can't work on that. I refuse to work on that. I ain't got no machine. You don't need a machine to work on on stuff. I mean, if you know what you're doing with your hands, and you know what you're doing in your mind, by George, you can fix most anything, fuel injected or not. There's only one thing to keep a fuel injection engine from running whenever whenever it's getting fuel, but it ain't going through the injectors. You have to pull them injectors off, and you have to clean them. And you have to put them back. Actually, it's simpler than carburation any day. I tell you, it took me a month of Sundays to learn carburetors. It wasn't just an overnight thing. But I love carburetor systems. In fact, I get that Chevrolet going back on it, I'm gonna put deuces on it. Let it rip. Alright, we're halfway done. Pardon me, I like to smoke. My wife makes the best iced tea. This ain't nothing, it's just strong power lose. Something to help clean the rust off of them bolts and nuts. So next up, we're gonna clean up the solenoid right here, and check it out. On the solenoid on the right hand side, you got your hot wire. Well, let me zoom you in here so you can see. There we go. Can you see that? How about now? That'll work. You don't ever want to get horsey with these things because they will break off down inside there, and that ain't real good when that happens. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this side loose right here. Alright, there's my hot wire. It's loose completely. There's wire right there that's got one side of it goes to the hot side, and one side of it goes to the switch side. Well, let me go grab a pair of pliers that might make it easier. This is a fuse block. This is what holds your fuse. Alright. This is a 25 amp fuse. I'm gonna clean it up. Take a Scotch-Brite. Just clean it up. I usually carry some stuff on my truck. It's called Yamalube, made by Yamaha or for Yamaha. It's got their name on it. It's called Yamaha combustion chamber cleaner. That's the best thing I ever seen to clean up electrical parts. It will make them shine like brand new. Won't damage rubber, plastic. Does me right. I need to stop by the Yamaha place, pick me up another bottle up. Alright, that's clean. So that terminal is clean, so I'm gonna put that right back in there. Alright. Just to make it easier to get off there next time. We'll give it a squirt of that lubrication. Alright. Now, wires have a memory. They will retain their memory too. They will, but they won't do it for it. Now, see, that was loose, just a little bit. There we go. Better put these back over here on the truck. I don't know where they're at. Pull this side off. That may make it easier for me to reach. And my wire brush is over here. If you can't tell, it's trying to drizzle rain. That don't bother me. You can't tell it. Whenever I pulled up here, I don't have a headache rack on my truck yet. I'm gonna get one, and when I do, I'm gonna build me a slide for a canopy, so I can put a canopy up on it and roll the canopy up, slide the framework back up, and go on about my business that way. Now I'm gonna reach down in here and do both of these, both sides. So that's something you don't want to hear a mechanic say, but I say it a lot. It don't mean nothing. It means uh-oh, I fix a mess up. Now, 90% of the time you can fix your problem just like this right here. Sometimes you need parts. Sometimes you need better diagnosis. Sometimes, well, it's just better to let the professionals do it. That little spade connector does not want to come off her. Let's see if I can be gentle enough to remove it without messing it up. come off there. Keep messing with it, it's gonna break. So let's do it like this. Yeah, when I was going to technical school, they used to, the first 8 weeks was theory. They was teaching us all that good knowledge that you're supposed to know, you know, physics and all that good stuff, how to read micrometers and how to read tech manuals and, you know, how to troubleshoot and this and that and that and this. And it was a little crazy, because if you're like me, man, I could take a written test any day of the week. Lord, they gave us all these multiple choice tests, and they'd have one right answer. They'd have all these answers that sounded so right, you know. Luckily enough, them tests had enough math on them that I didn't have much trouble passing them. But let me tell you something, kids. The answer is not C. I don't care what they say. In the real world, the answer is not C. There's only one right answer, and what can really screw you up on a test when there's 2 right answers, because it makes you think that every one of them's right. And I hate that more than anything. Okay, I'm gonna start putting it back together, so watch me. Little wire. We had a lock washer. And a 10mm nut. It's a single post starter relay. Most people call them solenoids. Some people tell you, well, a solenoid is a solenoid. Well, by George, a solenoid is a solenoid. But if you got a certain kind of solenoid on your mower, and it's wired up for that solenoid, well, guess what? I feel like you should go back together with it with the same kind of solenoid. Why? Because if you have to break out a wiring diagram, whoo, what is that? Yep, I said it, a wiring diagram. Then if somebody has messed with that thing and changed it, you can very much get in trouble. Because it ain't gonna look the same on that wiring diagram. So always go back with original parts. Always. Ain't no doubt about it. that point. Alright, we just had one on this side. That's a 1/2 inch. You don't want to put it on too tight neither, because usually that's whenever you break that stud off inside there, and then you got to change the solenoid. There ain't no doubt about it. It's not a solid piece of metal.